digest. From lane to the new shining ground, echo chants where the legends are found. Heroes carved in the heart of time, we march on through grit and grime. Oh Tottenham, Tottenham till I die. Raise the banner, let it fly. Through the rain, through the fire, this is my club, my only desire. Oh Tottenham, Tottenham till I die. Raise the banner, let it fly. Through the rain, through the fire, this is my club, my only desire. Echoes of King and Greaves in the air. Every goal, the sound declares. Heartbeats pound like a drummer's song, marching forward, fierce and strong. We're the ones who rise in the clash. Numbers running in a white shirt dash. History burns in the roaring crowd. Every game we scream it loud. Tottenham, Tottenham till I die. Raise the banner, let it fly. Through the rain, through the fire, this is my club, my only desire.
Good evening, and give me 2 minutes. I was pucking up something of a funny intro for Tottenham. I just felt I had to do something tonight, Billy, while we're waiting for the legend, the myth that is Ricky Sachs that's coming on, guys. But Billy, how are you first, bud? Great to be back with you. Great doing shows with you again. And do you know what? There's something exciting about the smell of a new season, isn't there?
Mate,
Somewhere
I don't know
along the distance.
don't know what's going on tonight, mate. There's news dropping all over the place, isn't there? We've got a Mickey van der Ven, we've got a cup draw, we've got Romero going. It's just wildness, absolutely wildness. And what a guest we've got coming our way as well. It's going to be mad.
It is mad. What's happened about Mickey van der Ven? I haven't saw the Mickey
Oh,
van
he's
der
just
Ven
announced a
news.
new contract, mate. Yeah, new Spurs official.
Yes.
2032. Yeah.
I knew getting his name in the back of my hoodie was a good idea. I
There you go.
knew it. Big up. But listen, let's get this intro going. Let's get this funny intro going. I always like to do a funny intro. I think it's just part of the channel a little bit. But here we go. Ladies and gentlemen, something very strange is happening in North London. Tottenham Hotspur are playing football, and Billy's just got up for being shocked after watching 2 years of dross. We're attacking. We're showing a big bit of fight, and the fans are getting excited again. And somewhere, Spurs supporter is looking at the table thinking, steady on, I've been hurt before. We don't hear any of that. We're winning the league. That's what we're doing. Because supporting Tottenham is basically like being in a relationship, but every time you think things are finally going well, Spurs say, remember that happiness you had? Yeah, about that. But under De Zerbi, there is a different feeling around the place. We're starting to see attacking football. We're looking confident. Maybe, just maybe, the Tottenham swagger is coming back. So tonight we are asking a dangerous question. Have we got our Spurs back? And of course, coming on, this man receives no introduction. His legend precedes him. A man that I have watched for many years on Last Word on Spurs. Absolutely, Ricky. Thank you so much for coming on my little pokey Irish channel. It's an absolute honour and a privilege to have you on, man. How are you this evening, Ricky?
Oh, mate, it's my pleasure's all mine. Thank you so much for the invite. Really, really appreciate it. I know we've been trying to make this work for a while, so thank you so much for having me. I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah, it's going to be good. And I mean, guys, let's start with Tottenham. Let's start with you, Ricky. How impressed have you been with Roberto De Zerbi? Look, I watched you a lot last year, going through the Poch, through Truder, through Frank, and all seeing the heartache in your face and Billy's face, and the many people you had on your channel. do you feel you've got your Tottenham back? Do you feel we're back where we belong?
Oh, that's a big statement. I'm not quite sure what my Tottenham is at the moment or what my Tottenham was. I think there's still work to do. I think it would have been very hard without Roberto to have ensured we stay in the Premier League, right? I think he came in a position where I think, like Billy would say as well, I mean, the look on our faces at times during the Tudor era and before that with Frank, it looked like a very difficult task to even look at anybody out there to save us. And Roberto came in the way he did and took the challenge on. I think even us would say probably at the Wolves game, we won that and it felt like on that day was a hammer blow seeing West Ham win as well at the same time. So I think probably the turning point was the Aston Villa game, which I know we got a lot of criticism for because Villa seemed to rest a lot of their players at the time. But I think the job Roberto's done has been phenomenal. I mean, I know there's been off-pitch issues that he's had to contend with that obviously Spurs addressed upon obviously announcing him and the appointment, but I think he's done a great job so far. I know they've really, really backed him at the start of the window. That's certain in terms of this summer. I think we just need to see the same effort and desire, determination they've done at the start of the summer now in the final weeks of the window to give us every opportunity. So we're in a really, really strong position to have a good season because I think that's the difference. We're only, I think, a couple of forwards away from having a very, very exciting season.
I would agree. Billy, look, I'm from a kid from the 80s, so I remember Birkinshaw and the team we had back then, Graham Roberts, Paul Miller, Garth Crooks at a time, then Steve Archibald, and then we went through the Gaza era under him, and then Chrissy Waddle and Gary Lineker. So I come through the early 80s where Tottenham had a swagger about them. Tottenham were the cup team. Then we sort of got lost along the way, haven't we? What do you see this season that you haven't seen before? And I know you can go back to the Poch years, but do you think it's bigger than what we had even before that, what De Zerbi's building?
Certainly hope so, mate, because we didn't see, Tottenham make a signing like Tonali in the Poch era, and we didn't see Tottenham make a signing like Fernandes in the Poch era, and we didn't see Tottenham go and, have 3 or 4 players on over 200 grand a week in the Poch era, and heaven forbid if we had done that, then we might have won a lot with Pochettino, which is a real worry for me and a real concern, but it certainly looks that way. I think we've got more to do in the transfer window for sure. I think we have to get some forwards in, but, I've wanted for so long I've said it to both of you all the time. Tottenham need to go and sign a £100 million player, and they've done it this year. They've actually gone and done it. So good. And the work's not over yet. We need to get a forward in, but at the same time, you have to start being excited because we've wanted ENIC to show this kind of ambition for a long time. They started the window absolutely brilliantly. There's no doubt about that. And we're still the most active Premier League club in the transfer window so far. But I think we've got to go and get those forwards over the line now, otherwise it feels like a bit of a waste. But in answer to your question, we've wanted ENIC to show this ambition for a long, long time. And like I said, the sad thing is if they had have shown it when we had Pochettino, Kane and Son and all that, we probably would have won every trophy going. But now, no time like the present is there. So let's hope they continue in this way.
Yeah, I mean, I was saying, I know I said that I come from an era where we had Glenn Hoddle and players like that, where I was so lucky to see them players as a young kid watching them play. And I feel sorry for the younger fans who never got to see these players and have gone through the ENIC era. And Ricky, look, if you do look back to our history, which is a massive history, first to do the double, first to win a non-league FA Cup, there's something about Tottenham Hotspur, isn't it, that's different from every Premier League team in the Premier League. I don't know what it is, but what do you think makes Spurs so different from everybody else?
I think they break our hearts more than probably any other Premier League club that we've been around.
That's so true.
Crazy story behind them, right? I mean, I don't think it's... Listen, I mean, a lot of football fans might feel this, but I don't know many clubs, but when you're a Spurs fan, you're sitting there thinking, we're 3 or 4 up, you think, probably need a couple more just to kind of rest easy. I mean, even that Everton game on the final day of last season, we're sitting there to stay up. And I was looking at that clock thinking, we were, I think, in the 89th minute, I was thinking to myself, Everton can still score twice and win the game. I think as Spurs fans, we've gone through so much, haven't we, in the past, 15, 20 years. And before that as well, to the older fans that listen and watch the show and, fans of our great football club, it's a very unique club. I think for a lot of people out there, I don't think a lot of people have a choice in choosing Tottenham. It's brought down through generations. I mean, I didn't have a choice in it. It's my dad's fault that I'm supporting this football club. I have made that clear to him on a lot of occasions. But look, I think the great thing about Tottenham is we've always said it, that when you have success, like we've had with the Europa League, for example, as an example, because we've waited so long for moments like that, it is that bit sweeter. And I just hope we've got such an incredible fan base, fans that turn out like we saw last season, and as Billy was a massive part of it as well, in the most difficult of circumstances. Our fans turned out, and really, really supported the team under circumstances where, I'll be honest, I think there's times where really through what we were put through as supporters, I don't think they earned our support. I really don't. But as fans, we did our bit. And you know what? I do think when you look at the end of last season, how the fans really, really came together for the team outside the stadium, inside the stadium. I think that whilst we rightly give Roberto De Zerbi a huge amount of credit for keeping Tottenham up, I don't think we should underplay the role that the supporters put in that as well. Because I think the supporters were one of the key reasons as to why this club is still a Premier League club, and what has allowed us to go out and show some real genuine ambition. Because let's be honest about it, had this club been relegated, what they've spent so far this summer, it's a drop in the ocean to what they would have lost. Let's be honest about it. Yeah. So I think that's why there's a lot of fans out there right now that are a little bit concerned about the fact that we've done some very good business at the start of the window. However, let's be honest about it, we are still in a position where we do need to go out and address the forward areas. And if we don't do that, then with all due respect, we've still got a lot of the same problems that we had last season. And, with that being the case, then we have to really question how much ambition do we have. The great thing about Mickey signing this new contract, like we've seen, is the fact that his words seem to really home in on the fact that this is a change in direction for the club. He's all in. I just hope those quotes were said only a few days ago and not a few months ago, and they are going to really show that ambition in these final few weeks of the window.
I mean, Billy, look, Roberto De Zerbi as well has put out the ambition of the owners of the club, the board, the people who decide behind me are very important and very high. I mean, look, we all know we've had our issues with the ownership over the years. I think all three of us can say here that we really wanted to change. We've seen Daniel Levy leave, and we're seeing the change of the guard at Tottenham. We're seeing something new, something we've never seen before. But with the board now, Billy, it's very important that they keep on this going, don't they? They keep the momentum going of signings coming in and players coming in. We know we need to get strikers. Ricky is right in what he's saying. We need strikers, we need wingers, we need a new forward line. Do you feel that before Brentford we will get that striker we need? And I know we're all talking about Osimhen and we're all hoping it's Osimhen. But if we can't get Osimhen, who is, and the same question to you is Ricky as well, who do you want to see Tottenham go in as a striker? Who do you want to see bring it? If you can't go in for Osimhen, who else is out do you think can do a job?
Well, I think the transfers that they're really working on at the moment are Gakpo and Savinho, and I think we'll get at least one of them before Brentford. I have to admit I'm not massively convinced on Gakpo, but it does seem to be De Zerbi's number one choice. But if that's true, then go and sign Gakpo if that's who Roberto De Zerbi wants. I think the striker market is a bit dry. Just been speaking to Ricky previously about that tonight. You've got Mikadadze of Georgia. You have got Vlahovic. I can see someone mentioning in the comments there. Marco mentioned in the comments. There is not a great deal out there, to be honest. I know, obviously, Julian Alvarez would be a pipe dream. Just not particularly realistic. So I've seen a couple of links to Balogun today. I've seen a couple of links to Mateta even. And I just think it speaks to the fact that the striker market is dry. So I think my gut feeling is we'll sign Gakpo and Savinho. I think we'll sign at least one of them before Brentford and the other one by the end of the window. But I think those are the two that we'll sign. What about you, Rick?
Well, look, I've been saying it for a while, haven't I, Billy, that we are going to get Savinho. That is going to get done. I was told by a very good source that just because we don't hear about these signings, everything is working behind the sign. But, Ricky, if it's Osimhen, we're all happy. We're all, or even Harry Kane coming back, which would be a dream, but I don't think it's going to happen. Who do you want to see out there? I keep mentioning Ollie Watkins' name. Do you think he's a striker that could do a job for us?
I think at the moment the key thing for me is it's who De Zerbi wants. I have to say to you, look at the options this summer. There's no one that's really screaming out to me to say, I'm desperate for that player. I think we'd all would love to see Harry Kane come back. But I made this point on another show with actually Billy at the time that I look at Harry right now and what Harry's achieved during his time at Bayern. I think for Harry to consider coming back to Tottenham, he would need to see some real genuine consistency and some sustained ambition in the market for him to even think about wanting to come back to Tottenham. And, with all due respect, half a summer in what we've done in terms of the earlier part of the window, to me, wouldn't scream to Harry that Tottenham are changing, because here we are, less than a month away from the start of the season. I mean, less than 2 weeks away from the start of the Premier League season. And here we are, and we arguably need at least 2 forwards in, don't we? I think that's the general feeling, that we need at least a couple of forwards to come in and really give us a chance of improving us in terms of a front three. Look, I mean, Vlahovic has been a name that's been touted about for a lot of different clubs this summer. I have to say, I think someone suggested that he's had a really bad injury record, so he'd fit in well in terms of that category. But it's a real dearth for strikers at the moment, isn't it? I mean, they were linked with Igor Thiago at the start of the summer. I mean, even Ivan Toney was linked last summer. That has gone very, very quiet now. I just really don't know. And I think the club are in that kind of quandary where they probably don't want to just bring anybody in. But at the same time, going into the season with just Solanke and Richarlison is a big concern, isn't it? I think Solanke's lack of availability is a worry. I think Richarlison, I'll be honest with you, I think Richarlison is probably more likely to score more goals than Solanke, because he just finds himself in the right area at the right time to score goals. But I have absolutely no faith that Richarlison's going to keep fit for most of the season. And I think it also is a worry when you hear De Zerbi say he's unsure whether Richarlison wants to be here or not. I think that's a big, big worry in itself. So there's work to do. There's work to do. And the Savinho one is just, I mean, I know you said you're quite confident it's going to happen, but I mean, what are we? I think Bill said it to me earlier. I think are we anniversary, Bill?
It's a year anniversary, yes. It's the first link today. Exactly a year.
Yeah. I mean, what is going on with this transfer? I mean, you could argue City looking to find a replacement, but why are City looking to find a replacement for someone that was never really their first team option in the first place? That's why I find it really baffling. But then look at it. He's played, I think, the last 3 games for City in pre-season. I mean, given that Manuel Solomon did the same for us, and obviously we have Manuel Solomon in the shop window and we have sold him today, so maybe you don't pay too much attention to that. But do you think it's a problem? Definitely a problem. And look, I don't want to, cause hysteria, but I would be massively, massively worried if we went into Brentford as we are right now and we're searching for goals. And for example, we do go 1-0 down. I couldn't sit here and tell you confidently that I know where the goals are coming from to change the game.
I agree. I mean, I looked at the game on Saturday and it was screaming out for a striker. It's screaming out for somebody just to be in the box. I know Gallagher scored that goal and Richie had some playing it with a little flip. But even then, they went 1-0 up. And I was like, you, Ricky, I said, where's the goals coming from? Where are they coming from? You look at Chelsea. Again, all through pre-season, it's as evident as the nose sitting on the front of your face. We need a striker, Billy. And again, we know transfers can take time, Billy. I know as fans, we're frustrated. We want things done now. We want transfers in the door. Should we? I mean, De Zerbi says there's a bomber coming, and we know that sort of got lost in translation. But do you think is he been a bit more honest with the fans of what's happening than, say, a Thomas Frank was or a Tudor was?
I think so, because De Zerbi is always going to be straight up in interviews. That's his style, and he's never gonna pander to any owners or anything like that, because he just never would do that. And I think there's an interview that dropped today, wasn't it? That I actually sent both of you earlier. I think it was an American journalist or something.
Yeah.
Where again he was saying that we're not done in the transfer market yet, and I know it is really frustrating, and everyone's getting a bit twitchy, and I'm certainly getting twitchy as well, but I do think something will happen before Brentford. I really, really do. It'd be madness not to. And I think I just think it's a case of waiting. Unfortunately, waiting for and Ricky says the paradox of Savinho is they're trying to replace a player they don't even play anyway. So it feels a bit weird. But I do think Savinho and Gakpo will both likely happen. And I just think if reports are to believe that Gakpo is De Zerbi's number 1 man, who I think would have been Krupi, by the way, out until that injury. That's how we got to back the manager, and I think maybe they're just thinking we'll wait a little bit longer to make sure we get the right target over the line. I think it's a little bit concerning though, because what happens if Man City are just trying to string us along? Because the last thing Man City would want is Tottenham to be coming through in the league again. They don't want any more competitors than they have already. So it just in the back of my mind, I keep having this image of Man City just pulling the plug last minute just to try and screw us.
Yeah, and have an egg on my face. Yeah, thanks, Man City. Rarely done. Can we just get the 115 charges done now so they can get relegated and we can go for Haaland? We've got to put a quid in and we get him. Big up to Mohammed as well. Big up, great. He says, "Hear me out." But is that Balogun from AC Monaco isn't shabby? He's not shabby, guys. Would you give him a punt?
I think I'm getting to the point where I'll take it at this point, just because I'm really worried about that Brentford game. I think he was impressed at the World Cup, I have to say.
This reminds me This reminds me so. I think we said this a year ago last for Spurs. It's that nightclub analogy where you walk in a nightclub at 10:30, and you look at the options that are at the nightclub at 10:30, and then suddenly by you get to 2 a.m. in the morning, you know what you would have considered at 10:30 in comparison to 2 in the morning is very, very different. And as those options, like Billy said there, get smaller and smaller in terms of the pool of what's available, you consider options that you probably would never consider at the start of an evening. So I think, as the window goes on, I remember at the time when we were linked with Akliouche, and there was a lot of people saying, "Oh no, we can do better than Akliouche." And forgive me, hasn't he just gone to PSG?
Yeah.
So, that's an example there of players that you look at first glance and think, "Oh, I'm not quite sure," but then they end up going on to moves that you would never maybe have thought they would have done. So, look, the reality is that as the week goes on, there's going to feel a bit more desperation, isn't there, in the camp? There's options that we would never have considered that we probably would do because we're really concerned about where the forwards are going to. But there's all suggestions that, according to SZY on X, that another bomber is coming soon. So look, maybe that is Gakpo, maybe that is Savinho, but I think we feel, but it's got to be an attacking option, right? It has to be a forward.
I think he said another announcement is coming soon. I think it might be the captaincy, though, is my gut feeling on that one.
Right, okay.
Yeah, it might be. I mean, it's like Tottenham going to a nightclub, isn't it? Saying, no, we're going to wait. The best looking woman's going to come in, and you wait and wait all night, and then it doesn't happen. And then you went, okay, I'm going to pick you. Yes, we've all done it in our younger years, yes. And I'll move away very quickly. I want to talk a little bit, Ricky, about Spurs' DNA. And we know we've gone through many managers, haven't we, over the years, defensive, attacking. Firstly, what does Tottenham DNA, what is Tottenham's DNA to you? What is Tottenham Hotspur's football? When you hear the Tottenham way, what is that to you?
Front foot, attacking football, daring with the ball, playing with risk, playing with guile, playing with pace, and seizing the opportunity and seizing the moment. That's why I've always fell in love with Tottenham. My favourite player growing up was Ginola. I loved Ginola's way about him, the way he would glide past players. And Berbatov was one of my favourite players in the more modern era. I love the way he would trap a ball. I love the way that he would play the game on his terms, really. And everyone else would have to dance to his tune. But I think I've always been, likened with players that have just got something a bit about them, that flair, right? I mean, I think people look at James Maddison as being a Tottenham player on his day. I think we haven't got really enough of what we would deem as Tottenham players. And I was watching earlier, actually, today, Robbie Keane's compilation of goals for Tottenham. I mean, some of the goals that Robbie scored for this club were just remarkable. And I mean, it's with all due respect to Solanke and Richarlison, that when I look back at some of the strikers that we had at this club, Robbie Keane, Jermaine Defoe, Dimitar Berbatov, even Pavlyuchenko, it must be said. We had some unbelievable strikers that played for the club, of course, with Harry Kane looped in there as well. And I think what you realise is when you've been blessed with those kind of strikers, and with all due respect, you look at what we've got now, and look, it was always going to be very, very hard, nearly impossible to replace someone of Harry Kane's ilk and nature. But when you look at the scale of that drop-off, when you've had the likes of Jermaine, Robbie, Dimitar, and you look at, obviously, Harry at the time, and look at what we've got now, we've been very blessed to see some really talented players, and I include the likes of Luka Modric and Gareth Bale in that as well. We've had some amazing players to play for this football club, and a lot of kids that will grow up and look at those players and idolise them as being icons and why they supported the club and some of the goals they scored. I'm not saying those players don't exist anymore, but it's very hard at the moment where Tottenham are to really attract those kind of players. And look, we have brought Tonali to the club. We have brought Fernandes to the club. That's going to really, hopefully, give us some real decent protection in that midfield. But I just think at the moment, and we hope Xavi will come back, hopefully at some point in a good frame of mind and obviously injury-free. But I think we are missing some of that real, genuine flair that's going to excite us. And I hope Kudus will bring that, hopefully, when he comes back for the new season. But I just think we need that. And I keep looking at Savinho. And I know Savinho really polarises opinion. But for me, Savinho is like the closest kind of player we've had to an Aaron Lennon, in my opinion, where he's got unbelievable raw pace.
Yes.
Yes, he's got stuff he needs to work on, but I think he will be a kind of player, Savinho, if we get him, he will get you off of your seat. What I'm just hoping for Savinho is, if we do get Savinho, there's a decent forward there to score the goals off his assists, because I think he's got, some real genuine flair about him. But he's going to need support in that area. It's all very well, as we keep mentioning, bringing in a winger like a Marmoush, like a Savinho, but you've got to have the forward. And I'll be honest with you, I think Bill said it earlier, Gakpo, what's being now talked about at 75, 80 million. I'm just not sure whether that's it. And again, I don't watch Gakpo every week. And I saw Liverpool fans last season seem to think he was some kind of godson to Arne Slot. I know they were a bit concerned last season about that. But I am a little bit worried. I am a little bit worried about the type of forwards we're being linked to and whether they are good enough for where we would all like Spurs to go, which I'd hope a lot of Tottenham fans look at us and think we'd love to be aiming back into that top four towards the top of the league, where I think Tottenham do generally and should look to belong.
Yeah, I mean, you're right, Ricky. When you look back at Robbie Keane and Berbatov, and you look at the strikers we've had over the years. Look, Harry Kane is our Jimmy Greaves. I've always said it, haven't I, Billy? That he's our generation of Jimmy Greaves. You look after when Greaves left. I know we had Martin Shivers, but we did have a sort of a dip after Martin Shivers. We got Garth Crooks and Steve Archibald, and then Gary Lineker came onto the scene. And we've always had good strikers at the club, Billy. But what does Spurs DNA mean to you? As I said, we went through the Poch DNA, we went through the Mourinho DNA. We sort of lost our identity, didn't we? We forgot who we were. De Zerbi, to me, is a mixture between Bill Nick, Keith Birkinshaw, and a bit of Poch as well. And he understands Tottenham.
That's a pretty good mix, isn't it? That's a good mix.
It is. And look, this might divide opinion. Ange as well. He got the club.
Yeah, I agree.
He got what we were about. What is it with De Zerbi's got right that he knows he can pinpoint the DNA of Tottenham? And what is it to you?
But firstly, for anyone that says Tottenham DNA does not exist, I think only has to think back to the Thomas Frank season.
Yeah.
When Tottenham were playing diabolical football, and look how disconnected everybody was from it. To me, that proved that Tottenham fans, we don't just need to watch football, we need to watch attacking football. And I think the Thomas Frank, and there's also other examples of that as well. Nuno was the same. I think Mourinho was saved by COVID. I think Mourinho played some good football in his first little stint when we had Kane and Son, but after that, when it got diabolical football, he got saved by the fact there was no crowd. But I think those managers, in particular Nuno and Frank, proved that there is a Tottenham DNA, and if the fans don't see it, you're not going to last at Tottenham. You've got no chance. So that tells me that it's not some mythical thing that everyone talks about. It's actually real. And I think it's just got to essentially be attacking football, gung-ho attacking football. And we saw that with Pochettino. We saw it with Ange at times, particularly in that first little spell. And I believe that we'll see it with De Zerbi now as well. I think, for me, Tottenham DNA has been always having that sort of one special player as well. When I grew up, it was, again, I'm a similar age to Rick. It was Ginola when I was first growing up, and then had people like Aaron Lennon, Gareth Bale, Klinsmann, Kane, Keane. Every Tottenham team in my lifetime has always had one very, very special player. I think, you might possibly say this era is the first time in a long time where we maybe haven't had that player since we sold Son and Kane. And, I know people will look to Xavi Simons as hopefully being that, or James Maddison or Kulusevski, who have unfortunately just been massively injured. But I think there has to be some kind of special player like that as well. And Tottenham have always had one of those. And I think that's why I hope in the transfer market we go and sign a really special player, and we were blessed with last 10 years of Kane and Son, two of the very best that there are. But I think it's about having a flair player in there as well. But I think it's, Tottenham fans like to be entertained, and they need to be entertained. Yeah. And if they're not, I'm afraid the manager's not going to last long at all.
No, and look, I keep going back, and I feel sorry again, but I keep harking back to the players I grew up with, Chrissy Waddle, watching Gazza in his prime. I mean, Gazza for me, as much as, Bobby Robson called him daft as a brush, I think that's sort of sums Gazza up pretty well, bless him. But I forget the personality of Gazza, but just think of him as the footballer. That guy was so gifted, such a generational, and to have him at Tottenham to play the Tottenham way, And as you say, Ricky, Savinho and Aaron Lennon wasn't the most brilliant footballer in the
Yeah.
world,
Yeah.
but he would get you off your feet. He would get you thinking something's going to happen. And
the whole
we just
stadium was
need
stand up as well, weren't they? That was
Yeah.
100%.
overriding memory.
we just need somebody like, I remember Tony Galvin back in the day running down that wing, and everyone knew, give it to Glenn Hoddle,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
everyone just stood up. You knew he was going to do something beautiful. I mean, Tottenham, for me, it's in my blood. It's in your blood, Ricky. It's in Billy's blood. We grew up.
Yeah.
I actually found Tottenham not actually through my dad. My dad found Tottenham through me, because my dad wasn't a big football fan. It was just me, and he took me to my first game back in the 80s. And I remember standing in the East Stand, watching Glenn Hoddle and all them players play. What's your earliest memory of going to White Hart Lane, and what game was it? And what made, I know your dad was a Spurs fan, but what made
Yeah.
your dad fall in love with Tottenham? Why Tottenham?
Well, it goes through the generations for my family. You know,
Yeah.
I've got a family of mad Spurs on both my mum and my dad's side. So, one way or another, it was going to find its way to me.
Yeah.
They named me Ricky after Ricky Villa, so there was never going to be escape.
Well,
Was there?
you're a
with name
legend anyway. You're a
I know,
legend
there you
straight
go,
off
there you
anyway.
go. I was, if even I wanted to not be into football, they kind of, I think, railroaded me into it, really. I remember my dad taking me to White Hart Lane. Listen, it's a long time ago now, but it was a 0-0 at home, I think, to Wimbledon. It was not the most glamorous game at all whatsoever, but I think like a lot of Tottenham fans out there that would have walked the first steps up White Hart Lane, there's just something about it that just draws you to the pitch. You know, as a young kid being there, what would I have been, 7 or 8, I think at the time, you just automatically, when you're taking up those stairs, something just grabs you, doesn't it? And I just think, yeah, there's no way out. Once you're locked in, you can't get out. You're kind of stuck with them for life. And I think that's what I've said, you know, when we have won, whether it's trophies or won special games, it's what makes it even more sweeter. And I know it's a bit of a mad thing to say, but would it be boring winning the league every season? I don't know, because obviously I've never had that feeling. But, you know, with Tottenham, you're certainly kept on your toes so much, aren't you? I mean, it's a club that continues to provide unrivaled drama, both on and off the pitch. And I don't know, I say this to Bill so often, you know, I don't know any other fan base that talk about directors of football, financial people.
That's
just
true.
It's just, I don't know, you know, we seem to have conversations that I don't think other fans have on podcasts like we do. We talk about the most very, I would say, strange subjects that never really get raised, I think, on other podcasts, but that's what Tottenham do to us. And it's in our DNA, isn't it? Like you said at the top there, Derm. It's not something that we choose to do, but we're tied and locked in for life, and we ain't going to get out of it. But I think what we're lucky is that we've got amazing podcasts like this, and there's fellow sufferers with us that are all locked in as well, right? Because they're just like us. It's a mixed bag of emotions, like Mohammed put there. So I wouldn't change it for the world. I would love to see more success, and hopefully that success is going to come. And look, I think what we have to say is we probably are entering a very interesting era now, aren't we? Because it does feel like we've got a manager that does want to win. We've got a decent set of players that if we add to it, we could have a really, really exciting season ahead. But Tottenham have always been one of those clubs, I think, that have always nearly there. And I think, you know, this is where you've got to take the plunge. In all due respect, a season where at the moment, I mean, I don't see anyone really, really, you know, running away with the title. And I might lose some people here by saying this, that I do have concerns that for maybe Arsenal this season, it might be a more easier title for them than last season, given the amount of clubs that are in transition, like City, like Liverpool, like Chelsea, and United, with obviously having Carrick there playing European football. That's why I actually feel it was a real good opportunity for us. If we do address the forward area, I think we could get back into the top 4, the top 5. You know, I always think it's hard for teams that have finished 17th, especially like we have back-to-back, to go straight back into the top 5, the top 6. But I think with the squad that we've got, if we can add 1 or 2, I think it could be such an exciting season. But I just hope we do go ahead and back the manager, because there is so much that we could be positive about if we just go and address those 1 or 2 areas that we know we've got to strengthen.
Yeah, that is so true. We do. And Billy, look, it is interesting. We do have outgoings going. We had all the debacle with Romero over the weekend, which a lot of Tottenham fans I could see lighted up X on YouTube. And but Ricky's right. I mean, I think we've talked everything from Levy to to concerts to boxing. We don't just stick to football. We're very knowledgeable about our football club. But
Yeah.
has it
PSR.
changed for you? Has it changed for you over the year though, since Levy's left that? We're now more talking about football than anything else, thankfully.
I think this summer it's certainly changed, and you know, I can never imagine being on a show like this and talking about Tottenham spending 100 million. I don't think that would ever happen. And you know, what you want, hopefully, ideal in the next few seasons is for to be talking about Tottenham being successful again. That's all that we want. I think the reason why we spent 10, 15 years talking about who the director of football is, or who the contract manager is, or who Scott Munn is, and all this stuff is because it's been so bad on the pitch. Like, it's been so dreadful. And Daniel Levy is such a massive character. Like, I've never seen it. There's no other chairman in the world that I don't think that gets spoken about as much as he did. Really, just maybe the Glazers at Man United are another one, but what's his name, Kroenke at Arsenal. I don't know the last time I heard anyone ever talk about him. And I know Todd Bowley and Abramovich. There are some other big names as well, but Daniel Levy just dominated the discourse around Tottenham for years because he was so involved in everything and such he had such a god complex that he wanted to oversee absolutely everything. And I'm not going to be unfair. A lot of the things that we're seeing right now are the result of some of the things that he did. That's fair enough. He did create this PSR headroom, but he never used it. And now that we're actually using it, we can stop worrying about the finances and we can just worry about our team spending players. And I think this summer has been interesting because I think some Tottenham fans have been shell shocked and they're thinking, oh my God, have we overspent on Tonali and have we overspent on Fernandes? You don't get Man City fans worrying about that because they do it all the time. So I think we need to do it all the time. And that's when, we'll change our mindset and things and we'll stop worrying about wages and stuff because hopefully now we're just a Tottenham team that will spend and spend and spend. And then you stop worrying about, have we spent too much on this? And, can we now buy a striker on this? You just keep spending. So hopefully things are starting to change. But again, like I said, and as Rudy points out in the chat there, the Aston Villa and the Newcastle thing has been absolutely wild this summer, hasn't it? And that's a bit of part of the reason why it's been spoken about so much because no one else has know how to react to it either. And Aston Villa and Newcastle fans have had their nose pointed out a joint a little bit because Tottenham have always been a safe bet, and Tottenham don't spend like this normally, but now we do. So let's hope it's a new era.
Yeah, it is, and I must admit, it's put half a Talk Sport into a meltdown as well. I did a show a couple of weeks ago. The hate for Talk Sport.
Your good friend Gabriel Bongalahor.
Oh yeah, I love him. He's a great man. Now he talks more crap than comes out of whatever. And also that other idea as well, Jason Cundy. He seems to forget he played for Tottenham. He scored a goal for Tottenham, and he just hates in the summer putting on these stupid. I can see Ricky doing that, putting on the Ange mask. When Tottenham. And I could just see you doing it, Ricky. I can see you doing it.
You never know. We last one Spurs evolving. I'm not quite sure what Jason's take would be on that, but we'll have to wait and see.
I can see Billy being a bit of Jamie O'Hara and you being a bit of Jason Cundy. I can see the combination there.
Maybe that's where me and Bill's double back will have to go next.
Yeah. I tell you, if you did that, I think you get the most views on YouTube if you put on the Ange mask. Has anyone seen? I want to talk a little bit about outgoings that were today. Of course, Fabrizio Romano put out about Romero. Cuti Romero and Atletico Madrid deal close as new bid will be sent soon to Tottenham. Romero gave his green light to Atletico talks entering final stages. Spurs never considered to sell the player to Arsenal. Barcelona remain focused on Rodri. Deal, no bid for Cuti so far. Ricky, look, Romero divides the fan base. Either I have this love-hate relationship with Romero, right? When he's playing well, brilliant. But I put something on X the other day, especially with this link to Arsenal, and I said, I'm done with him. If he wants to go, let him go. I don't care. What are you on Romero? Am I being too harsh on him by really slating him, or do you think, I need to give him a bit of slack?
No, I think you're right. I think my last bit of respect went for Romero in that final week of the season, the bit up to the Everton game. I just think the intention at the times, I think it was in any remote way a good idea to not want to attend the Spurs final game of the season against Everton, whether or not it was to go and see his boyhood club or take a trip to the Barbers or to leave the country. I just was at a point where I was kind of just like, you know what, I just think probably we're better off without this guy in the football club. And I think my only concern now is how much he may affect things be back in the building now. And I think by all accounts, it was suggested that he actually wasn't there today. I think obviously a lot of the players that have come back from the World Cup, the final group, were back in the building today, but I'm not sure he was there in attendance. It feels by all accounts that this move, from what we're hearing from Spurs to Atleti, is getting closer. I just think we're at a point now where whatever that fee's concluded at, I think now we just need to move him on. I think it's in the best interest of everybody, best interest of Romero, best interest of Tottenham, and best interests of everybody, even fans. I think it's a real shame because we'd all love to remember Romero for bringing us a first European trophy in over 40 years and first trophy in over 18 years, 17 years. But I've got a horrible feeling that the abiding feeling with Romero will be just how much he's missed games. And Bill says it so often, and last one on Spurs, I think Bill's got the figure as well. The amount of games he's missed has been
63%, I think it is in total.
Yeah,
he's played. So that's nearly 40%.
I mean, that's the captain of the football club. That just is nowhere near good enough, is it? To miss that amount of games. So I think, look, we wish Romero all the best for the future, but I'm not going to miss him. I think we could deal without the drama that we've had, really. I think Jan-Paul Van Hecker and Mickey hopefully are going to be a lot more sturdy for the club and more stable. And we've got Senesi there as well. So it already feels like we've addressed his departure before even selling him. So I think, look, I think I'll be glad at the time when he's sold and we don't have to talk about him anymore. Sounds harsh, but I think like a lot of the comments says there, Rudy says it as well. We're at the point of no return now. Get him gone.
Yeah, no, I agree. And also, Billy, look, I said that Yumi had a conversation about this the other day, didn't we? That, look, his outburst against the board, and you're thinking if that was a Graham Roberts or a Gary Mabbott or a player like that, they would do their talking on the pitch as well to back up that outburst. Do you think with Romero, it was one way or the other with him? That he cared more about Argentina than Tottenham? He didn't care about the captaincy. Most players, that captaincy comes with history. It comes with pride. It comes with, you have to live up to an expectations that many great captains have won trophies. Yes, he was part of the team that won us a European trophy, our second since 1984. Ricky is right. But do you feel he's let himself down? Sending offs, outbursts, Argentina at the end of the season. You look at the Leeds game. You look at Richarlison was standing up on the touchline. Vicario, even though Vicario would be gone, he was up there on the touchline as well, wasn't he? Shouting and roaring. You look at Bergville. You look at Archie Gray, and all these other players get the hit, but Romero doesn't. I don't think it's fair.
Yeah, I think he has let himself down, particularly in the way he conducted himself last season. I think Romero needs a very, very strong manager. Thomas Frank was not that manager, that's for sure. Igor Tudor, again, was not. Igor Tudor was strong in different ways, but he never really gelled with Romero because it was so bad.
Yeah.
What I will say is these problems didn't really exist under Ange because Romero had a good relationship with Ange, and they didn't really exist under Conte either. And I think that, the funny thing about it all is, I think there was a world where probably if Romero hadn't got injured in that Sunderland game, I have a feeling that Romero and De Zerbi would have got on very well as well. And I think De Zerbi is the kind of manager for Romero. Unfortunately, that didn't happen. And you saw all the craziness of him going back to Argentina and things. And, Simeone will probably get him on track. There's no doubt about it. But he's a bit like a child. I'm a teacher. I know these kind of children. I know them very, very well. They need a very strong teacher to keep them in line. Otherwise, they do what they want, And, humans are all different.
He never led by example, though, did he?
No, he didn't.
Late for training.
I think one of the biggest mistakes we made was making him captain. I think the captaincy was just too much for him. I was just speaking to someone previously, and they said, put all the spotlight on him, all the focus on him. Every decision was exaggerated. He's getting more red cards, more injuries, more tackles. I think making him captain was a mistake. I don't think he was. I know a lot of people would now say that he's possibly the worst Tottenham captain in their lifetimes. We've got some very, very strong captains in my, time supporting Spurs. Ledley King. Son, I thought was a brilliant captain for very different reasons to Ledley King. And then you had, people like Hugo Lloris who led by example for 10 years at Tottenham, really high standards of leadership. But Romero is not a good captain. It's too much for him. I think he has to be Romero has to be controlled by a really strong manager with a really strong personality. And I do think that could have been De Zerbi, but it's not going to be now. And he has to move on. And I think the thing which sums up for me was that last week when you're going into easily one of the biggest games in our history, and all the headlines are about Romero's having a haircut or he's in Argentina doing this. And that's just it's an unwanted distraction. You can't have that at this level. And I think, he was a very, very poor captain and without a doubt the worst captain I've seen at Tottenham. And but at the same time, the paradox of Romero is I know he'll go to Atletico and he'll be brilliant there. I know that's going to happen. It's just, and that's the sad thing about it. Switched on Romero, there's hardly anyone better in the world. But unfortunately, it's really hard to get him switched on.
Yeah, I don't care what he does now. I'm done with him. Look, even if it was one of his team and he still had nothing to do with the Arsenal links, I'm still done with him. Because for me, he let us down so much last season.
I think if you're a Tottenham captain and you get linked with Arsenal, you have to immediately come out with a statement and say, "There's absolutely no chance." Yeah, you have to immediately nip that in the bud. And the fact that he didn't, for me, says that all.
100%.
I just want to get a few people have sent in a few jewels. Big up to Giant68, 10 jewels. This says gold coin. Thank you so much, Giant. We've got the GOAT trophy. Big up to you, Marco, 1,000 jewels. Thank you so much. And Marco also sent in 10 jewels as well. Thank you so much for your support. And please keep hitting the like, keep hitting the subscribe. We're on the march to 3K, so we'd love to get there for the start of the season. So if you are watching over on X, do follow the link and come over and hit the subscription. It is free. It doesn't cost you. And just hit a like. Get us out there on the algorithm. Right, guys, we're going to talk about Jed Spence, 28 to 34.2 million. Inter remain keen on Jed Spence's from Fabrizio Romano as a right wing back, as revealed last night. Depends on the deal conditions, as currently seen as too expensive, but Inter remain active if Spurs opening doors in the upcoming weeks. For me, Ricky, I want to keep Spence at all costs. I think he covers you on the left, he covers you on the right. I think he had a fabulous World Cup. He really did. And what really showed Spence was that French game where he overlapped and got the penalty. And if you've got that during the De Zerbi game, you need your wing backs to do that, doesn't he? He likes his wing backs running through. With Spence, what do you do with him? Because he's going to play, he wants first team football, but he can't be guaranteed first team football. If you were De Zerbi, what would you be saying to him?
Well, I don't think any player should be guaranteed first team football because that's when the players start getting complacent, right? I think it's the same with Bergvall. He wants first team football, but arguably you've got to earn your right to be in the first team. I think what Jed should be looking at, the fact is that at the moment, Destiny Udogie has not played once for Tottenham during pre-season. And I think Destiny's fitness is a massive problem for the club. And I think he's been linked in the last 24 hours to a move for Roma. Now, look, I think it's highly unlikely Spurs sell both Jed and Destiny this summer. I think if you asked me about Jed before the World Cup, I was open to him going. I think now seeing Destiny not even be able to complete a game during pre-season, that worries me massively. And Destiny's fitness has been a constant concern for us generally, hasn't it? So I look at the situation at the moment, I'd be much more rather in favour of selling Destiny than I would Jed Spence. I think Jed has shown us during the World Cup that he can play back-to-back games, 3 games in a row at a very, very high level. And the argument would be that we've not really seen that during his time at Tottenham. So if I can be assured that we're going to see a top high-level Jed Spence that can be consistent over the course of a longer period than what we've seen in the Premier League games, and I would most certainly want to keep Jed, because I think a comment there in the chat says it there, we could play Jed at left back or right back, whereas Destiny is predominantly a left back, but we can't keep Destiny fit. So it's a massive, massive problem. Again, what it will come down to the Italian clubs, with all due respect to the likes of Inter Milan and Roma, I mean, these clubs don't really tend to have a lot of money. So, I mean, forgive me, I don't know if you guys can educate me. I can't really remember what we paid for Destiny at the time. Was it around 12 to 15 million? I can't remember now.
12 million,
I think it was.
Yeah, I think it was about 12 million.
So, you probably are, Tottenham would arguably want to get their money back and probably a bit more. And, Jed Spence probably is at a point where if Tottenham do sell Spence, they're selling him at a point where he's at probably his highest optimum level what they could sell him for based on the World Cup. Now, again, as I've mentioned, if Inter Milan are one of the very few teams in for him, and it's not a Man United or a Liverpool, what can Inter Milan really bring to the table in terms of a fee? And that's the same for Roma in terms of Destiny. I think that's, again, a big problem in terms of what kind of fee these clubs will be looking to pay. I just don't think there's a huge amount of money in Italy right now. So if you're asking me what I'd want to do with Jed, I'd like to keep Jed and probably sell Destiny.
No, I would agree, Billy. Look, I think Ricky makes some really great points there. We know the Italian clubs are broke, but Italian football's always been sort of broke. But back in the it was the rich league once, and then corruption, whatever they else got hold of it, it's corrupted it. I don't think going to Italy would be good for Jed Spence, and I do agree with Ricky's opening when he said that every player has to earn his right. He's right on that. Every player has to earn his right. Doesn't matter if you had a good World Cup or whatever. You're starting from fresh. Do you think De Zerbi will be speaking to him this week back at Hotspur Way and putting his arm around his shoulder and said, "You're part of my plans. We're going to make sure."
I hope so. I really hope so. For me, I think his versatility is very, very important. And I think, I genuinely think we're going to see a different Jed Spence this year because the World Cup, I think, would have fundamentally changed him. I think experiences can change you as a player. And, I've said this before, but, we've seen it in front of our very eyes. We saw how much Gareth Bale and Harry Kane changed in an instant. They became superstars. I'm not saying that Jed Spence is going to have that kind of trajectory, but we saw, the Aston Villa game for Harry Kane when he scored the free kick, the Inter Milan game for Gareth Bale when he beat Maicon. These kind of events can have a massive impact on football players that change them for life. And I think Jed Spence is going to really have a superstar moment off the back of that World Cup, and I hope it's with Tottenham, not somewhere else. And I think, I love Destiny Udogie, and I think we're much more balanced generally when he's in the team because he's left-footed, but his availability is very, very poor. And, I think we need to move past this Tottenham injury crisis that has blighted us for the last 3 years now, and availability has to be a priority for us, I'm afraid.
Yeah, it does. Just quickly on Manor Solomon as well. I've been told that Solomon to West Ham done and expected. Here we go for Romero. Anytime this evening or in the morning. We are looking probably around 10 million. Just very quickly on this, not much in this, Ricky, but Solomon hasn't really played much for Spurs. Injuries, went out on loan at Leeds.
6 games I read in total for Spurs.
Yeah, 6. Yeah.
Wish him luck. That's all we can do, really. He has had a good pre-season, to be fair to him.
Yeah, look back at it now, it was a bit of a peculiar signing, wasn't it, really? Came in, was signed on a free. I think at the time, many maybe questioned, signing him at the age we did, was he really the right profile at the time? I mean, let's be honest about it. It's probably been as much of a waste of time for the players as it has been for us, hasn't it? He's barely played a game for us, been out on loan a couple of occasions. I think when you look back at it now, I mean, Spurs have done this, haven't they? They've made signings in the past that you've questioned. This will be a trivia quiz in a few years' time. Who did this player play for? He played 4 or 5 games, same as Gilberto, if you remember at the time. We make signings and you think you forget those players even played for us, and Solomon will fall into that category, unfortunately. I think it's a good move for Solomon. I think he will do well at West Ham. I think he's a good move from the Championship. He did very well for Leeds a few years ago there. And I don't mean some disrespect to West Ham. I think he's at his level. I think he'll be a good player for West Ham. And look, some fees better than no fee, right? Because, I mean, there was talk, I think, that Tottenham were looking for around 10 million for him. But, look, I think we just need to make some room, don't we? And, there's no point keeping players that have got no real future at the club. And if that money's going to help go towards a genuine striker or make us move a bit quicker and accelerate the market for a striker, then we take it. But I think it'll be a good signing for West Ham. I think he will get goals in the Championship. He showed that with Leeds, so that makes sense for them in terms of the signing.
Yeah, well, I mean, Billy, very quickly, look, 6 games or starts, has a good pre-season. He got himself in the window, got himself a move. So, thank you for what you done, Solomon, whatever that was. But thank you, and wish you well for your career, really.
Yeah, not at West Ham, though. I hope he has a dreadful season and they struggle. That's
do you know what, Billy? I probably would echo that. Just a few more talking points, guys. Just 2 more, and then we'll end it off there because I know you guys have busy evenings ahead. Second round of the League Cup, we've got Charlton at home. All right, be honest. When Chelsea came out and there was only 3 balls left, did you think, here we go? Be honest now, did you? Because I did.
I had that conversation with Billy earlier. I was absolutely profusely really worried about what was going to happen. The draw got closer. I thought, my God, what kind of inning are we in for now? I thought it could be Chelsea. Look, Charlton at home is a good draw, isn't it? Because, I mean, that'll be an opportunity for, again, some players that may not feature predominantly in the first team to get their opportunity. And I can't remember saying this, given how bad our home record is. But it's mad, isn't it? It's just kind of instilled in you. Okay, get a home draw, get a home draw. But then you realise you've got a home form, thinking, is that a good thing having a home draw? But it'll probably be it'll probably be a midweek one, right? So yeah, look, fingers crossed. I really want us to take the cup competition seriously. If anyone's seen me on Last One of Spurs for how many years, they'd probably see me get very emotional when we've gone out of cups. For me as a Tottenham fan, I mean this with all due respect. I think it's very hard for a club like Tottenham right now to win the league. So therefore, the other alternative to that is you see the amount of fans that turned out at the parade for Bilbao winning the trophy. I would love to see us win trophies, and I'm not too arrogant to say that the League Cup is too big for us. I think, I would love us to win a trophy. Absolutely love us to win another trophy, and I don't think we should take these competitions for granted. There's only 3 we're in this season: Premier League, FA Cup, and of course League Cup. I want to see us go as far in the League Cup as possible and hopefully go on and win it. And fingers crossed, that's a springboard to further success. So no, I'm happy with the draw, and I just hope we take it seriously and go all the way.
Yeah, I'm with you on that, Ricky. Look, I'm in the FA Cup as my holy grail. I was a teenager the last time we won it, and I'm 50 in February, and I'm thinking, that is not good enough. We have not won an FA Cup. Have you guys ever seen us win an FA Cup?
Well, I was born 89. I smashed the French windows when Gaza scored, apparently, I was told.
Well, there you go.
I'm exactly the same age as Rick, so we're way before my time.
That is shocking that you two
one
have
and
never...
a bit years old. We've never even been in the final in my lifetime. We haven't been in the final since then either.
That's shocking.
Terrible, isn't it?
I mean,
terrible, isn't it?
It is. I mean, I've seen this. I vaguely remember 81, remember 82, remember 87 and 91.
And at that point as well, that was our 8th FA Cup win, and that was a record.
It was.
And now,
That's
Man City have matched that now. Man City matched that this year, and Arsenal have got 12. So there you go.
Yeah, but they cheated half of them, though. We all know Arsenal half cheated that. They're only a South London club anyway. Yeah, there's always something smelly in North London now. I've now realised it was Arsenal. I think they have to go. So, Billy, get the lads out and turf them out.
I would love to.
Saying that, here comes Brenny. Big up, Brenny. Hope you're doing well, bud. Big Arsenal fan. Big up to you, brother. Hope you're doing well. Billy, look, as I said, FA Cup's really important to me. I'm like with Billy. I'll take a League Cup.
I would love to win
I don't think...
I mean, I would take of course.
I would take the League Cup as well. But
I just want to get back to Wembley as well. We haven't been to Wembley since
it's been so long. Yeah, Wembley.
Yeah.
That Man United semi-final, I think, was the last time, wasn't it? I believe when we lost.
So, sorry, just 3 people here. We're just gonna sit here and daydream of Wembley for a few seconds. Hang on, yeah, we're fine. But I mean, Billy, with the cup competitions, it is important to get there. But do you think De Zerbi will take them important? Ange didn't take him seriously. He only focused on one thing. Do you think De Zerbi's a manager that can focus on all competitions, especially if we get into Europe next year?
I think De Zerbi's got a big advantage this year that we don't have Europe for the first time in a while, so we will be able to prioritise them. And I think, in fairness to Ange, what I would say about that is he got unbelievably unlucky with the cup draws. We had like Aston Villa, Newcastle, we have Man City in one of them. I don't think Ange ever played a team outside the Premier League that was in a cup.
No, it's very true.
We had horrendous draws under Ange, and this season we got Newcastle, we had Doncaster, then Newcastle. First round of the FA Cup, we get Aston Villa again. It's just we've had a horrendous run of draws in the last few years, and I think half the battle with the cups is getting an easy draw. And have to look at those. The mugs of London, Arsenal, some of the draws that they've had recently, the draw that they had to get to the Champions League final, for example. I think football is, so much of it is about luck, isn't it? And I think if you get a good cup draw, I remember when Arsenal won that bloody, they won the back-to-back FA Cups and they never didn't leave London in any of the games in two FA Cups. You remember that? They played Hull in the final. We did that one year.
Yeah. We did that in 82. We did that. Actually won the FA in 82. We never left London and won the FA Cup.
I think massive amounts of luck comes into it. I remember when we played. We had Liverpool in the semis, didn't we, and all that. So we've had some horrendous cup draws recently, and it's about time. What I just want is a lower league team every single round until the final. That'll do me.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah, I mean, I would love it. I mean, League Cup, it's great. We won it 4 times, 5 times would be brilliant, but an FA Cup. For me, just to win that old famous Arago.
Especially for this generation of fans. They've never seen it. Like that. When I was a kid, Tottenham were the FA Cup team, and now we're not.
I'm sitting here, and as I said before, I've seen this in, hang on, 8-1, 8-2, 8-7, 4 FA Cup finals, and you two haven't seen this in the cup. That is just shows how long we haven't won the damn thing. And
Yeah.
we've got the
Yeah,
semi-finals,
we
Chelsea.
had the Chelsea and the Man United under Poch, which were
Yeah.
both very painful for different reasons. We should have really won both those games. And yeah.
Didn't we have Harry
Never mind.
Redknapp with Portsmouth?
yeah,
Was that? Oh,
I don't know
So
if you
many
the one
guys.
that always gets me. I don't know if you remember this. This is a bit of a deep cut. Because I know we're about to finish, but we played Crystal Palace under Pochettino, and we lost at home,
Yes,
performing
yes.
goal. And then Crystal Palace, I think they had Hull in the next round, and then Watford and semis
Yes.
to get to the final.
Yeah.
And then they lost to Man United in the final, who we would have just beaten 3-0 with the Lamella goal. Like, we would have won that. We would have won the FA Cup that year if we'd have.
Forgive me, I think the goal we conceded for that, Bill, I think it rolled under
one
him.
mistake, wasn't
yeah, it did.
Yeah. It's mad how you remember things like that, but yeah.
Yeah.
It is.
And it was the one where Pardew danced in the final. But if that was
That's
us in
it.
the final, we'd have won that game.
Yeah.
I remember also, what was the run we had? It was Everton. I remember in 90. Do you remember the year we had Klinsmann? It was 94, 95, I think. And we got to Ellen Road and we got to Leeds. And then Man United were in the final. I think Everton did beat them. I'm like you, Billy. I think we would won that FA Cup.
Was that the Amakachi one? When Amakachi?
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
I remember
But
when I was a kid. I remember when I was a kid as well. We got Arsenal in the semi-final. I remember that going to that with my dad. I think we lost 1-0, and I think that might have been at Old Trafford, if I remember rightly.
Yes, yeah.
It was. I remember when we beat them in the 91 semi-final. I was at Wembley that day, and that was just. I can't describe beating Arsenal one thing and having the season we had and nearly going bankrupt. And a lot of fans don't realise that between 89 and the start of 91, 92, how close we did come to becoming not existing. Not even being around, and
Crazy,
there'd been no podcast, there'd been no nothing. How much Alan Sugar?
We nearly went for it again last season.
I know.
Yeah, we nearly did. I mean, that's why I was saying that to Philip Brady the other day. That me and Philip were talking, and Philip's older than me, and we were talking about that time we nearly went bust, and we've both said that was worse. Getting relegated, you can always come back up. But watching your team nearly go out of business, never existing, that is the worst feeling I never wish any fan to go through. And
I'm sure you didn't mind it when it happened to Rangers, though, damn it, I'm guessing.
Yes, we'll move on from that, Billy. We'll sort of move on. No, didn't actually. But Alan Sugar for me, and Terry Venables, but Alan Sugar deserves more credit than he gets for saving our football club. And that man deserves more credit than he does get. He did sell it to Levy. I wonder if there was a little bit of revenge in there in his head. Or he just saw his bald head and thought free electricity for Tottenham's lights. Just stick a little, panel on top of Levy's head. That's what he was there for, free electricity. Used to shine his head. Anyway, we'll move on quickly before getting into any more trouble. Just last question, guys, and we're going to end it there. Have we got our Spurs back, Ricky? But have we got our hope instead?
Well, I mean, I said at the start of the summer that I really hope it isn't our Tottenham back. It's going to be a new Tottenham. And I think with it being a new Tottenham, I think that's currently pending at the moment, depending on what the next few weeks look like for Spurs in the window. I think if you asked me 4 or 5 weeks ago, I think I was maybe living in cloud cuckoo land where I really, really thought things were really changing. I have to say right now, it's got a lot of the similar symptoms to what we used to have going into final weeks of the transfer window. And I know it is only early August. I know there's still nearly over a month, well, just less than a month to act. But like I've said before, I think we need to see a couple of real, genuine, consistent, sustainable windows to really feel things are changing. Less suppose about it. Like I said, I think in the earlier part of the show, we're spending money now that really wasn't have been there had we dropped into the Championship. So the fans are owed what is happening at Tottenham right now with regards to players coming in, but we still need a lot of work to be done, and it can't all be done in one window. I accept that 100%, but I still think that there are players out there right now that can improve us between now and the end of the window. And De Zerbi deserves to have some more forward options. He deserves them. So, and by the basis that we keep on hearing Tottenham aren't finished in the transfer market, I just hope he gets those forwards. If we get those forwards for me, I think it's a real definitive difference between finishing in a Conference League place, dare I say Europa League place, to really challenge him for a Champions League place and maybe beyond that. But we're going to have to act, I think, really quickly in the next week or so to give De Zerbi those options, to give us the best possible chance of him working with the players ahead of the start of the season. Can I just say, Derm, I've absolutely loved this show. It's been great spending a bit of time with you. Thoroughly enjoyed it, and I just want to thank you and Billy as well for assisting and getting me on, because I've absolutely loved it. And again, can't thank you enough. And I would implore everyone that's watching the show live and those on the playback, please like the show, subscribe to the show, share Derm some love, share Billy some love. I've loved it. I can't thank you enough for having me.
Well, look, it's been an absolute honour to have you on, Ricky. You're an absolute legend. You were one of the people that inspired me to do what I did. At 44, I decided, you know what? I'm going to run a YouTube channel and talk Tottenham. I thought my missus thought I was mad at the time. She still thinks I'm mad now doing it. I even think I'm mad doing it.
I'll let you into a little secret. I've been my missus for 17 years, and she still thinks I'm mad still doing it now. So make it out what you will.
Well, look, I've sort of made my missus into a Tottenham fan. She very quickly tells me how to start a game if they're going to play crap or not. And for the last 2 years, she has been absolutely spot on. So I'm hoping Tottenham to prove her wrong a little bit now this season. Billy, you know, you me do plenty of shows on here, and we're optimistic. And the Spurs are back. You know me, I think we're going to win the league. I'm like this every year, Ricky. Don't worry, nothing ever changes with me. But the same question to you, Bud. Have we got our Spurs back, or have we got our hope back?
I hope so, mate. I think that, you know, the proof will be in the pudding, obviously. And, you know, what I really hope is we get off to that bloody win against Newcastle. You know, I know Brentford is the first game and everything like that, but I just feel like I just want a good home season this season. We had 4 home wins last season. We've got to turn that stadium into a fortress again. And I think the Everton game, and I think some of the atmospheres that you saw, even in the games that we lost, when Tottenham fans were really getting behind the team in that stadium in the death run, really showed how special the fans are. And I will always remember that clip. I know everyone will as well, of De Zerbi looking at, and Maddison and Gray looking at the fans at the end of that Everton game, and that was very special, and it reminded me very much of when Poch did the same. You know, we're a very, very special fan base, and I think hopefully that the club will sit up and take notice of that, because what the fans did in that run-in should never be forgotten, because they really got behind the team then, and I really hope that they give it back to us now of a good home season where we win most of it. I mean, I always remember the last season at White Hart Lane when we won 17 out of 19 home games. Let's go and do that again, eh?
Yeah, I do. Philip Brady's coming over to the Hoffenheim game, Billy. Is it right if I give him your number because he wants to meet up with you and do something?
I've had a bit of a bomb, but I can't make it anymore, I'm afraid. But yeah.
Okay, what's happening? What's happening now?
I'm going to see my girlfriend in Glasgow, so I can't make it, sadly, but I will be watching. I think Rick's going with the fam, aren't you, Rick?
I am, yeah. I'm bringing my boys along for the first time. Obviously, it was difficult last season to take them under difficult circumstances of what was going on around us at the stadium. So, if anyone's coming to the stadium, come and say hello. If you see me with 2 screaming kids, that just might be after the result they see Tottenham.
I'll definitely be at Newcastle though, but I unfortunately can't make Hoffenheim now.
Oh, that's a shame. That is a bomber to end all bombers. It really is.
Are you watching now? I'm on Spurs play, I'm sure.
Well, I think if we do sort of strike in the next few days, Billy might reverse that and come along.
I think he will.
Me and my girlfriend will come to. We'll get the train down for that game. If we sign Osimhen, then I'll do that.
I can see Osimhen being signed and Billy putting up an X. Right, guys, I'm on my way.
Get that clipped up. We're going to fly Billy back by a private plane if we get Osimhen for the building.
Yeah, I don't know who's going to pay for it, Ricky. Do you think they accept pay by monthly? If we do this thing, pay by monthly scheme,
we'll get a GoFundMe together. We'll get a GoFundMe to get back over here.
That's it. Rescue Billy from Glasgow. That's what we call it.
Absolutely,
Ricky. Where can people find you? Put your link in the chat as well, sir. But where can people find you?
Bless you. You're too kind. I'm very blessed to get a lot of love and support from the community over at Last Word on Spurs. And again, I always say I'm so humble for the people that make it happen, right? Because, look, we can bring along the amazing guests that make the show, but the audience are the ones that really drive it. So I always owe a depth of massive gratitude to the people that come along and make the show what it is, because without that support and without the amazing people that make Last Word on Spurs what it isn't possible. So I always say, wherever I go, thank you ever so much for all the support and love we get for Last Word on Spurs in general, and Again, Dern, thank you so much for having me, mate. It's been a real
No.
pleasure, and I love talking to Tottenham fans around the world to get their view on all things Tottenham. So I've loved this chat and look forward to doing it again with you very, very soon. And as always, I love sharing a screen with Billy. You know, absolute
Yeah.
amazing friend of mine, and love spending as much time as I can with him.
I know, so do I. Actually, I love doing shows with Billy. Billy knows that. Also, Billy, what you got coming up, sir, this week? I think we're doing a few shows later in the week, but what you got coming up? People can find you on X. I know that, but where else can people find you?
Yeah. Just you know me, I'll just be looking for all the bombers on Twitter and seeing what happens. But I really hope we get one this week, mate. I really, really do. Because I'm getting a bit. It's been I think it's been 5 weeks since Tenali now, so it's getting twitchy, isn't it? So
I can see you getting shaky a bit. You getting withdrawal symptoms from bombers now.
Yeah. As long as we get one in,
guys,
as long as we get one in before Brentford.
Yeah, we'll do. But Billy, thank you so much. Ricky, again, absolute pleasure and absolute honour to have you on my little channel. Thank you to everyone in the chat. Really appreciate it. It's really been a great show. Thank you for all your kind comments and your questions, and big up to everyone. So massive big up to Giant68, Marco as well. Big up to you and also Marco for all the jewels. Listen, guys, we're back tomorrow night. I'm going to have my same Romero, so join me for that. And then we've got the build up for Hoffenheim. At the weekend, we've got the Hoffenheim on Saturday, Hoffenheim on Sunday. We're going to run the predicted lineup on Friday evening as well for you members. So do pick up your memberships. But guys, whatever you do, please subscribe to Last Word on Spurs. Follow Billy on X as well, but you know you'll find Billy on here. And do hit that like, do hit that subscribe. Let's get the 3K before the start of the season. Whatever you do, come on, you Spurs. In the mighty De Zerbi, we trust.